Hey, my name is Davis and I'm from Haiti, but I live in Dominican Republic. I'm here, Positive Power 21. Jerry was live worldwide.
Hey, what's going on, family? What's up? Welcome to Positive Power, XXI Christian Media. I'm your host, Jerry was live worldwide. And you're right here on the Late Night Show with SHAY Samuels. And a special guest tonight is going to be author Michael LABORN. And we're excited about this one, y'all. So we hope you guys are tuning in. You're sharing the file. If you come in and you miss some of the show, you can't get all of the show, don't forget that you can tune in on Spotify, iHeart, and Google, and Apple Podcasts. So don't forget, share the file and write some comments. It's okay to call the Batman. All right, everybody, let's talk to Shay. Matter of fact, I'm not even going to hold Shay up. Go ahead and do your thing, Shay.
Such an amazing show. It's Monday, everybody. I want to say welcome to Positive Power, Jerry Voice Live Late Night with your host, SHAY Samuels, and we have an amazing show tonight. Jerry Voice, I hope that you feel better really, really soon, and I can't wait to chat with you. So we have an amazing guest tonight. I'm excited. I had an opportunity to go through the gentleman's information today, and he just seemed so fun. So I would like to introduce you all to Mr. Michael LABORN, and I hope I'm saying it correctly. But Mr. LABORN, are you on the line with us?
I sure am. How are you doing?
I'm well. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I'm excited all about your ministry and everything that you have going on, and I'm excited for the listeners to hear more about you. You just seem to have a very fun spirit.
Depends on the day, right?
It's very rare that you see people the way that you are, just free-spirited. And, you know, in this day and this time, a lot of people are just so serious. And to see the lighter side of the world in you, I'm just excited for people to learn more about you tonight. So we will start with that. First, let the listeners know who you are and what your ministry is about.
Okay, well, like you said, my name is Michael LABORN, so you were pretty close.
Okay.
I'm in Northern Illinois, and as for ministry, I spent most of my life in the church, and over the last couple of years, God's just really began to challenge me to really embrace freedom. So that's really been the kind of the heart of what I'm doing in the world is I'm chasing freedom, and I'm trying to convince the church to just fall in love with each other.
Good. So I was right on point.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was right on point. And I think when they say pictures speak 1,000 words, it's just, you know, seeing your pictures, your photos, you want to know more about who you are. And so first, let me ask you, not a lot of people are okay with being that free. So how did you get to the point where you were just okay with being as free as your pictures depict?
I think kind of the concept of freedom was really difficult for me for the longest time, and I thought I was free, but I didn't really get it. But then, you know, there's just one point where God just began to speak to me about, you know, I made you for freedom. There's actually a verse in Galatians where it says that it was for freedom that Christ set me free. And once I realized that's what Jesus, you know, shed his blood to give me, I was like, I want it. I'm not willing to have anything less than what he died to give me. So I'm going to have it. That's kind of how I've lived my life since. Yeah.
And that's amazing. So the people around you, they feel the freedom that you have. They understand the freedom that you have. And because of that, it gives them a sense of liberty to be free in themselves, right?
Absolutely.
Amen. Well, I wanted people to understand, too, there's a lot that comes behind you. If you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 29, and I'm turning 30 in like 2 months, and I'm very sad about it.
Tell me why. 30 is like the best year. 30 is like the new 16. What are you afraid of turning 30 about? But 29.
I'm sure I'll like it once we're there.
I was watching a movie the other day, and the lady said it was a show, and she's like, I'm turning 30, and she started talking about her bones creaking. And people, if you're listening, 30 is not old. 30 is like the new 16, and so you'll be just fine. I'll have to call you on your birthday and see how old you actually feel. But what is it that you want to get? What is it that you want people to ultimately know overall about? I want to use the word your discipleship, so I'm going to use that word. What do you want people to know about the way you disciple in your discipleship?
I would say that the number one thing would be that community is central. Community is central. I think in a large degree, we've made Christianity so difficult in the West. It's so much about productivity and forcing ourselves to get to a certain point and measuring ourselves against each other, when the reality is that God's desire is just for us all to fit into the body of Jesus and to love each other. And if we approach it from that desire for community and intimacy above everything else, this is so easy.
Yeah, I do believe that we make it hard. I mean, there's so many different, there's politics, there's, I call it the modern day. We built church the way that we think it should look, and in that there's a lot of hurt people. What would you say about that?
I would agree with you completely. I think that we've built everything around what we desire it to look like and what we think would be best, and we've largely abandoned what God designed, and as a result, it's broken.
Now, on your website, I actually had to make note of it. This was a quick thought, and so I love that you actually put this quick thought on your website. And it says, the longer I walk with God, the more I realize that this life is more than Sunday morning worship and Wednesday night Bible study. Furthermore, the more I realize that I'm not alone in feeling that way, this generation as a whole is chasing something more. And I'll stop there because I am fully aware, and that's why I asked how old you were, because we need a lot more people like yourself, young and free at heart, and I'm going to keep saying that to you, although you're going to be 30 in a couple of months, but young and free at heart and not afraid to show the love of Christ, for one, but also the freedom. And so when did you know you were called to do what you're doing?
That's a hard question to answer. I think I've always kind of understood that God had called me to chase something deeper, but I don't think that I understood the extent of it until probably around 3 years ago. Before then, I was already doing it. I was already leading discipleship groups, already kind of pushing against the status quo and calling people into something deeper. But at that point, God just really began to press on my heart that, almost there is not there, and we have to have freedom. We have to have something real. And I just realized, I'm surrounded by people that I'm having to convince that God is real because they're so upset by the way we do Christianity. Yeah. I was like, that's not okay. It's not okay. If I would just love them and show them who Jesus is, I don't have to convince them of anything. And I know I remember the exact moment when I realized that, and it's never been the same since. Just this idea of living out authentic love for Jesus and authentic love for people. I don't have to convince anyone of anything because it's real.
Wow. Now, because we do have a lot of listeners, across the world, and some people may want to know, what that feeling feels like. And for every person, it's different. And we can talk about the change or we can talk about the shift, but how can you put it into practical principles for someone who out there who's like, I want to know if I'm feeling that?
I would say, I don't know that I can give you words to explain what freedom feels like, but I can tell you that it feels full. It feels full. I didn't realize it at the time, but prior to really understanding freedom, there was this part in me that was always craving satisfaction, always craving something deeper, always craving the stage, always craving validation, always fighting for that place that God's called me to. There was always this vision in front of me of this thing that God was calling me to be. And they were good things. I wanted ministry, and I wanted to reach the lost. I wanted to preach the gospel, but there was always this thing in front of me that I had to race towards. But in freedom, I can stop, I can rest in Jesus, and I can just enjoy that I am loved by God, that I am known by God, and that I am the thing that He made me to be, and then I can live it out. And so I would say that freedom feels like actually being full, actually being satisfied. And instead of spending my life chasing God, freedom feels like actually knowing him and walking with him.
That's good. And I love the fact that you said, you already knew that it was there. You were already working in it before you actually started doing it. And that's what a call looks like. So for those of you who are out there listening tonight and you're saying, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if I'm supposed to be discipling people. I don't even know if the church, quote unquote, is for me. When you are, when you're doing what you're called to do, it comes naturally. Some people disciple people without even knowing that they're discipling. And if you started looking back, even from a child, you will understand that you've been doing this for forever. And so the church can't call you for what you were already called for because you do it whether you're within the four walls or not. So I just wanted to add that on as well. Now, there's a time or two based off of your website, and I was reading through it. Did you leave the church at one point?
Yes, kind of. Let me explain before we lose everybody. This is what happened 3 years ago. So like I said, I'm making disciples. My wife and I were already those people, at church. If somebody said, hey, Pastor, I want to go deeper, they would give them our number. We were already those people pouring into people, making disciples. We were already the house where, prayer was going to happen and worship was going to go down. That was already us. But about 3 years ago, God really began to speak to me about and show me in the Word, too, just about this idea of community-driven Christianity, where it's all about love and not about performance, but about love. And I had gone to some pastors and some spiritual leaders in my life, and I spent probably 6 or 7 months just saying, hey, guys, this is what I see in the Word, and it's not what I see here. What do we do? And over and over and over again, I heard pastors telling me, we see it. We see what the Word says, but it's not practical. And there was just this part of my heart that said, well, you know what? Not practical is not an excuse not to obey God. It's just not. If this is what he has for me, it's what I'm going to have no matter what it looks like. And so we just we said, hey, we're going to step away, and we're just going to chase this thing with everything that we have. So we started a home church. We already had people coming to our house for discipleship all the time, so it wasn't even new. It was the thing we were already doing. We just called it something different. But we started a house church, and that's what we've been doing since then. Still in relationship with people in the church, still love them. They don't all return that sentiment, but I still love them. And but that's what I mean when I say I stepped away from the church. I stepped away from the pursuit of the stage, from the pursuit of that, that validation and that platform. And I just decided, what, I don't need the stage. I just want to love people.
And the reason I ask that is because there are so many people out there, right, who get stuck in the four walls, within the four walls. And they also kind of have that urge. I was one of them. So I identified with what you were going through, even more now that you said it, to be honest with you. But, when you're within the four walls, unfortunately, you become a number. And so, and if you're not a number, you're someone that's on the panel, whether it's an elder, bishop, or someone in clergy that is there to help. But even that is kind of, there's a restriction with that. Nobody ever wants to go deep. And when you're within those four walls, you're really dealing with some challenges. You're dealing with issues, especially those who know that there's more in them. They know that they're called to do more. And when you go to church, unfortunately, within those four walls, you're kind of told when you're ready, right? But it's like you've already been brewing for some time. You've already been, like, that teapot has already started to whistle.
Yep. Nobody comes into this thought thinking, oh my goodness, I've never heard of deeper things before. It's always like, I've wanted this and I've wanted this and I didn't know it was there, and now that it is, I'm going to take it. I mean, that was really my experience as well. We were leaders in the church. We were never passive Christians. We were leaders. We led in the worship team. We were actively involved in the youth ministry and pouring into people in prayer ministry. So we were involved. But this concept of freedom, I don't even know how I thought I was alive before, to be honest with you. And so that's the thing that's so exciting to me, is this concept that, I even think about, in 1 Corinthians 3, Paul says, we cannot lay a foundation except for that which has already been laid, which is Jesus Christ. And this idea that we take our vision and our passions and our gifts and we set those up as the thing that unites us as the body, We say we're going to be a prophetic church, or we're going to be a missional church, or we're going to be, a church that serves, or a church that gives, and it's all about our gift or our vision. But if it becomes about my vision, it stops being about Jesus. And that's the thing that my heart just is burdened for, is for a people that will just say, I can't allow anything to center me except for the person of Jesus.
Yeah. It amazes me because a lot of people are eventually lost in the church. And how can that happen when that's supposed to be our refuge?
Yeah.
So what would you say about that? Because I can sense some people who are listening tonight who may be just lost in the church. It's just as simple as that. I don't want to offend anyone. I know someone's listening. How can we be lost in the church? I think if you understood the reality, am I right, Michael?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, what do you mean being lost in the church? And so what I mean personally is you get lost in the everyday entertainment. You get lost in the lights. You get lost in the rigmarole of, just going in every Sunday, every Thursday or Wednesday, if that's your Bible study. You get lost in the crowd at times, Yeah. But what would you say about that for the person who's lost in the church?
I have a lot to say on this, which I bet you guessed. I do have a lot to say on this one. That's something that we experience a lot, honestly, is, people will tell us, what's a house church, or why are you doing this, or why are you doing that? And then they'll experience community and say, I wasn't even alive before. Because the reality is, God designed us. If you look at 1 Corinthians 12, 13, and 14, there's this huge thought that Paul is laying out for us, that we were made to be many parts to one body. Not one part, many parts to one body. There's this idea that he has forced us into intimacy and humility by putting specific gifts in individuals, and the body of Jesus is only whole when all of those gifts are poured out into the body. And the way we have structured things, we've said we're going to pick a couple of gifts for each body, and we're going to worship God through those. We're going to honor those. We're going to put those on stage, and we're going to respect them and awe in them. But everything else we're going to shape so that it fits that vision. And by doing that, there's so many of us who have legitimate gifts and anointings and callings from the Lord that never see the light of day. And for those people, they are no longer able to contribute to the body of Jesus, and they slowly die. And so they feel like they're contributing. They feel like they're, I'm enjoying the worship. I've got the goosebumps. Pastor was reading my mail on stage yesterday, so I'm good. But over time, they become those people that say, I have nothing to contribute, so I'm not going to. And they lose that place of being intimately united with the body, and we aren't created to exist outside of intimacy with the body. So I think for those of you out there who are feeling that way, you might not even recognize what you're feeling. It might just be, I don't fit. I don't fit here. Nobody wants to know me. If I were to leave, they wouldn't notice. I know so many people that's how they communicate what they feel, is that nobody sees me. If that's where you're at, what I want to say to you is God's desire is that you would be seen and that you would fit into the body of Jesus. So if you find that place where who you are is welcome, everything is going to change. And that's the reality. For so many of us, that's all that's missing, is that if we make room for each other, life just naturally happens. Like you said earlier, we don't have to fight for health in the body of Jesus if we make room for what the Spirit of God is doing in us.
Yes. Yeah. And that's important too, because the thing is we're replacing that with all of the material and the natural stuff. Like, we're replacing it with what it looks like as opposed to what it should be. And that's what we get lost in. So that's why a lot of people, especially if you're listening tonight, that's why you leave church unfulfilled. That's why you're like, I need a little bit more. And some people are okay with the regular, status quo. Like, I got my church in this Sunday. I'm going to go to early service just to say that I was there. You get those people, but then you get those people who actually leave. And the reality of it is that when they leave the church, they leave the church. So those are the people that you begin to see, you're like, well, you know what? They weren't doing that before. What happened? Or they weren't talking like that before. What happened? Or they weren't, and here's the thing, that's their level of freedom because, like you said, they found themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you get
what that's so hard, too.
What you're getting. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say that's so hard, too, because, I was lucky. My mom loved the Lord. I was surrounded by people that love the Lord. So even when I started to understand that I was free, I channeled that into chasing Jesus. But for so many people, we've kind of been taught a passive Christianity where if I don't have a gift that fits the vision of my church, I don't have to do much. So for so many people, when they really feel like they're not free, they feel like they're not alive, they don't know how to find that life. They just leave. Like you said, they I'm just done with Jesus because this isn't satisfying me. And that's just heartbreaking that there are so many people that would say to you, I feel unseen. I feel like I don't fit. I feel like I'm unloved. And the truth is they're not wrong. It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, it really is. I have another question for you, but we're going to take a music break. But I do have another question that I think you will absolutely 100% love and have fun with it. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take a short music break. But right after this music break, I think you guys want to stand by to hear this question that I'm going to ask tonight. But we are on with Michael LABORN. I said that right. It's like what's my favorite movie? Oh God, now I can't even think of it. Jason.
Is it Bourne Identity? Because I get that a lot.
Jason Bourne. I saw that movie for the first time and needed to see every movie of it afterwards. So, oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad you do get it a lot. But we're going to go ahead into this music break, and when we come back, you guys want to stay tuned for this question that I'm going to ask.
Some people, they be like, yo, I just have a wish for my birthday. Or they wish they had 3 wishes. I wish for so much more for you. I wish for so much more. What I wish for is that we live more. In the inner city, living ain't so sick poor. Realize we hypnotized by the discord. We blow money fast. What you think we rent for? Yeah, did it big. My kids wish I could've did more. Wish women would be women and men would be men. Or there was no child abuse or domestic violence. In the streets really moved in the act of silence. Wish the Catholic priest wasn't pedifying. In the government officials would tell the truth instead of lying. I'm born a lion. My daddy name is David Lyons. Wish we could do more laughing instead of crying. Wish we wasn't afraid of giants. Wish we could all be inspired by David and Goliath. Wish society wouldn't pacify us. Make us ride, turn back around and buy it, intensify it.
If I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I keep my hands raised high when there ain't nothing left. Try to stay focused on the Lord above. With all the things going on in this world, that's where my help comes from. I wish the world wasn't corrupt. I wish that we could unite and spread love. I know that Jesus is enough. Got my mind on my mission, G.O.D. That's what's up.
Yeah, I wish we all get our credit straight. Wish that single mother didn't have to wait for Section 8. I wish we all would investigate why the world is crooked and we can't set it straight. Yeah. God is not the author of confusion, so ask yourself, why there's so much confusion? When some husbands wasn't so abusive, wifey putting makeup on to cover up all the bruises. All we do is make excuses about the chains, the pains, and all the nooses. I wish religion wasn't so polluted. This is all facts, you can't dispute it. Barely have a right to do it. So much can't be proven. I wish we really choosing to teach our students, pursuing disillusion, turning us all to ruin. I wish a court system really would start it over.
If I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I keep my hands raised high when there ain't nothing left. Try to stay focused on the Lord above. With all the things going on in this world, that's where my help comes from. I wish the world wasn't corrupt. I wish that we could unite and spread love. I wish I know that Jesus is enough. Got my mind on my mission, G.O.D. Yo, that's what's up.
You are listening to Jerry Royce Live Worldwide Podcast.
Yes. That was Wish by David Benson of Beyond the Fence family. That's one of my favorite songs of David Benson, but that song is entitled Wish. And we are on with Mr. Michael LABORN tonight. And you guys, if you missed the first half of the show, you missed a blessing. You'll just have to catch the playback. But, just as a young man, as a young man, you were very, very wise, and you have an understanding of God's love for people. And that's very hard because even a lot of, you have pastors' children who are raised in church, and they still, the excuse for kind of not walking upright is because they've been in church all their lives. So you hear pastors' kids say that a lot. Like, I've been in church all my life, so I'm just tired of it. And but there is a difference when you truly understand just God's love, and that is missing in the church. That's missing in the body. That's missing in people, just in general. And so I applaud you for understanding it and grooming others and discipling others to be that way. And so I thought this was kind of funny, and so I kind of put this in my lines of question for you. And I said, I will not be afraid to ask him this. So Kanye West, let's talk about it.
Let's do it.
Are you voting or no?
I'm gonna vote. I'm not sure that Kanye is gonna get my vote, but I'll vote. Yeah, I actually I had to call one of my friends yesterday when I saw that come out. I was like, hey, Kanye is running for president. What do we even do here?
And again, it just goes back to the understanding. And what I love about what you did is you made it fun. You made it fun on your Facebook page, and I started laughing, and I said, I got to get him with this question: are we voting for Kanye or no?
No, he didn't send the money.
I'm not saying what is his lyrics? What did you say his lyrics are? I'm not saying I'm a gold digger. Yeah. So, but I thought that was interesting because I did see it yesterday, and first, you just thought it was kind of like one of those social media buzzes. People are just saying that this is going to happen, and I saw it more, and I saw it more, and I saw it more. And I just thought, I just love the way that you made light of it. So if you do go to his Facebook page, Kanye may not send any money, but his Cash App is there. So you guys do what you got to do. Did you like that plug? The Cash App is there.
Absolutely.
Either way. So now on to some more serious questions. So what do you want your legacy to be? I mean, you are going on 30 years old. You've made a positive impact in your community. From what I see, you really are interested in building your community in a way where it is emphasizing the love of God. But what would you want your legacy to be?
Honestly, I'm not sure that I want to have one. I think it's very important, to me anyway, that my story fades into the body. I'm not looking for any kind of fame or any kind of standout thing. But if there was something that I would want people to think of when they think of me, it would be community. There's kids that we've poured into for years, and they always make fun of us. If someone says my name, they'll just go community, just as a way to mock me. But it's the reality of my life. It's the thing I care about. It's the thing that no matter what I'm teaching on, we're going to get there. Because it's the thing that, it's where life comes from. We were created to be intimately attached to each other and to pursue God as one body. And it's crazy to me. Like I always say this, in one blink of an eye, I'll never have to prophesy again. I'll never have to teach the word again. I'll never have to heal the sick or convince someone to come into the kingdom. I'll never have to do any of that again. But I will forever be responsible for loving you, and you'll forever be responsible for loving me. But that's the thing that we set aside as optional. Intimacy is the thing that Christians say, well, if I have time. But the things that are going to pass away the moment Jesus comes back for me, those are the things that we want to make our identity and spend the rest of our lives fighting for. And I'm
Yeah.
passionate to see that change and to see the thing that's forever be the thing we fight for.
Yeah. And, you know, as you were talking, I was just thinking about the building aspect, because there's a lot of people who build in different ways. And when it comes down to community, there's a number of people who build in different ways. And there are people out there who want to know how to even begin such a thing. How do I begin to build? And it may not be your structure. It may not be my structure, but someone has to start somewhere. So how would someone start in their community? The process of building or rebuilding the community?
It's such a hard question because, like you said, you know, everybody's different and different areas are different. But I will tell you an answer that I think is universally true: food.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the truth. You know, in Acts 2, we see them. They came together. It says they were always together with one mind, and they broke bread together. There is something that happens around the dinner table that doesn't happen in any other place in life, where our barriers are down. I don't care that you're different. I don't care that you think different. I don't care that I think you're wrong about everything. We're enjoying this meal and we're loving each other. In my experience, especially when it was, you know, dealing with young people, we would always cook for them, and they would hang out at our house and eat us out of house and home. It was so expensive. God bless me though. But we'd eat some food and we would just love each other. And then from that place, then our relationships developed, and you know, we naturally understand. That's how we do church too. We get together, we have a meal, and we fall in love with each other. And then from that place of having fallen in love with each other, then we pursue Jesus. Then we see each other. Then we meet each other's needs. Nothing is hard if I'm in love with you and you're in love with me. And that's one thing that I encourage people on, is before you can build a platform, before you can build a ministry, before you can develop anything that's actually going to produce the image of Jesus, you have to learn how to fall in love with people. And I think that happens when we bring down those barriers, we bring down the ambitions, and we just focus on me and you together here.
Yeah. And it is true. I used to run a connect group, or host a connect group at my home years and years ago. And the only way that we could get people, like if you were to say, you know, hey, we're gonna invite you over to our house, and we're gonna put a DVD in, we're gonna watch it, and then we're all gonna sit around and talk and take notes. And you know, people would kind of be like, no, not interested. Got something to do this weekend. But as soon as I said we're making chicken, macaroni, collard greens, we're gonna have some rolls and cornbread, we're gonna have a big feast, everyone showed up. Don't forget the Sunday night football games happen. We're going to all watch football and have some popcorn, and then they get there. But first, this is what we're going to do. But I can tell you this, a number of people who came, they were very happy that they came. They got a lot out of it, and I was appreciative, and they came back on their own after that. And so I do agree that that is a great way to start fellowship, sitting around the table. Now, what advice would you have for the younger generation? And you're still a part of it. You're just like in that middle piece. So what advice do you have for the younger generation, that one person that really just may be hurting and where you were, in that place that you were before you actually found your freedom? What advice do you have for that person tonight?
Well, first off, I want to say that this is hard. This is a hard thing throughout, because on the one hand, I don't want to hurt people's feelings, and I don't want to say to the church, "Hey, you failed us all." That's not what I'm trying to say. Just for clarity, for anybody out there who may hear that. But to you young people that are out there that are in that spot where you feel broken, you feel unseen, you feel unheard, or you're looking at the structure of the church and you're saying, "This isn't what I was told that life looks like." I want to say a couple of things to you. First, I want to say you're right. This isn't what Jesus looks like. And a lot of you have been beaten down and have been told that you are not understanding God. And the truth is, this is just not what he looks like. But in the midst of that, there is something precious to be chased. So don't throw Jesus out with the false image of him that has broken you, that has hurt you, that has wounded you. Pursue him, find him, fall in love with him, and have something real.
Amazing, amazing. What scripture do you stand on to get you throughout the course of your day, your week, or just, to kind of encourage you individually?
I won't say that I have a life verse or anything like that, but there's this one text that has always struck me, and it's so funny because, you ever have one where you're like, this doesn't even mean what I'm taking it to mean, it just blesses me anyway. But Song of Solomon 7:10, it says, I am my beloved and his desire is for me. And from a very young age, I read that, and I just, I had this revelation, that God desperately loves me. And there's this thing that happens in the body that I experienced for years where I have some gifts, and, the church noticed them, and they would put me on the stage and give me a platform and give me a microphone and let me use my gifts because the gifts mattered and helped the church. But they didn't know me. They didn't see me ever. It was always the gift. And for a long time, that really, it hurt me at a deep level to not have, to always be up front and to never be seen. And but that text, just looking at that idea that, Jesus is not after my gifts. He didn't need me. They're his gifts. He just loves me. I think that's something that's really centered me. It's really focused the way that I pursue the lost, the way that I pursue the church, the way that I pursue young people. And honestly, it's been a central thought for me, not only from that text, but that there's that revelation, that idea that in the midst of everything that I do for God, that's not the thing that drew him to me. It was me. He loves me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And would you give that same advice to someone older, or would you give a different level of encouragement?
I would say the same thing to them, but I would add, I like to talk about this text a lot. There's this point in Israel's history where, God had set up a certain structure for the way that Israel would run. And they said, well, God, every other nation has a king. We want a king. And God gave them a king, but it's very clear in the text that he didn't want to give them a king, but he loved them. Mm-hmm. And even though they had demanded a structure that he didn't bless, he continued to pour out his power. He continued to pour out his love because he loved them. And so one thing that I say when I'm speaking to predominantly, older Christians who have been in ministry for a while is I say, God moving in our life is not evidence that what we're doing is what he said to do. It's evidence that he loves us. So in the midst of this moment in history where God is doing something new, because there's no denying that he's doing something, all across the nation, God is calling young people and saying, guys, chase something deeper, chase something real. We're seeing churches that are struggling in ways they never have before. We're seeing pastors leave the ministry. We're seeing, ministries fall to the ground. God is doing something. And so I would say to them that in the midst of this, don't feel like we're failing. Don't feel like the church is dying. Don't feel like the church is broken. Recognize the Spirit of God is doing something and get on board.
That's good. That's really good. What are your hobbies? I noticed, and I don't know if you have a thing for painting, but I noticed the piece that you were talking about of women of color. And
wasn't that a good painting?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
What did you say? I lost you for a second. I'm sorry.
Oh, I just said, wasn't that a good painting?
That was a very good painting. And so what I love again is that you invite your people in to your discussions, right? So you kind of give people an opportunity to think about what you're saying, right? In this piece, you were talking about the women of color. It's like, I can't wait to have this conversational piece. So why did you choose that painting?
Well, honestly, a friend of mine had just posted a video when she started, and I was like, that piece right there is going to start some fights at our house, so I want it. Because, just the truth is there are so many things that happen in the world only when somebody gets their feelings hurt and stops and asks a question. So I love art. Actually, we've been we don't collect or anything like that, but we had so many students with artistic talent. So I'd like, hey, draw me a picture, paint me something. Our house is literally filled with stuff that old students have painted for us. But that one specifically, I was just like, people are going to walk into our house and they're going to ask about that painting. What does that mean? I can have a conversation with them that I probably could not have had if they hadn't have seen that painting. And so I love things like that. I love books that make me ask questions. I love movies that make me ask questions, and paintings that make me ask questions, and relationships that make me ask questions, because questions open the door to conversations that, preaching might not ever open the door to.
Yeah, and so just so you guys know, connect with him on Facebook, and is it Michael Allen, ALLYN,
yep.
LABORN? Okay, so I got Alan right. Michael Allen LABORN. Connect with him. This picture, this painting is actually, he has it hashtag Women of Color. And again, I was so fascinated that I was just kind of screenshotting all these different, because there's so much to you, right? So we can talk the word all day, the whole broadcast, we could talk the word, but there's so many elements to you. And I think, like you said, what I wanted to do was pull out your conversational pieces so that we can start teaching people outside of this broadcast how to begin having conversations that can build on the teaching. So if you just go to someone and you just say, you need Jesus, or you go to someone and you say, you know, the Lord loves you, you go to someone and you do a random outburst like that, you lose them before you even get a chance to actually get the embrace, right? But when you have things like this conversation piece, Women of Color, I'm going to tell you guys what it shows. There is a woman who is dressed, there's an Oriental woman, there is an African woman, there is a woman dressed in India garb, there is someone, there's a woman, an Indian woman, and I cannot tell if the woman in the dress is just a black woman. Is that what she is?
The white dress, Mexican.
Oh, Mexican. Okay. Can't see now. I can't see. See, I'm over 30, so I need glasses. So I think you were onto something when you said it. But here's the thing: you would have to know what you're thinking when you do hashtag Women of Color. I'm surprised that your Facebook didn't go off when you put that up. Like, what do you mean? Especially with everything going on now, you would expect it to be something different. But I can tell you that it has been an honor for me to talk with you tonight. I really applaud you again. You are a young man who's doing what you need to do in the community to build the community, and you're not wasting your time on things that are frivolous. You are really making sure that you make a positive impact. And for children to see you and hear your name and to automatically speak community, that is your legacy. And so I really, really, really want to encourage you to keep going, keep pursuing, and keep pressing. And if you want people to connect with you, I know that you host events or have events. Even if they're in your area and you want them to come in to fellowship with you, let the listeners know where they can connect with you or how they can book you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, obviously, go ahead and add me to Facebook. I love people. My name is Michael Allen LABORN, like she spelled it earlier. That is ALLYN, which, by the way, is the most fantastic way to spell Allen. Don't argue with me. And then it's so funny. Everyone in my life knows how to spell my middle name because I put it everywhere. But I also have a business page. So if you don't really want to hang out, but you want to see the stuff that we're doing or, you know, watch our teaching and stuff like that, that's just Michael LABORN, and it's right there on my regular Facebook as well. That's more going to be, you know, live videos that we do, teachings we do. If you want to read about books we have coming out and stuff like that. But my website is michaellaborn.com. You can always get in contact there. If you want to get any of my books, they're on there. Or if you did want to have us come out and teach or anything like that, you can book that there as well. And you know what? You can shoot me an email too. My email is michael_laborn@icloud.com. I mean it when I say community is my life. I love people. If you have questions, if you have thoughts, if you want to hang out, if you want to talk, reach out. I promise you I won't be annoyed.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it from Mr. Michael Allen, ALLYN LABORN. And you guys, make sure you connect with him and to the website. There's a lot of great information on there. There's a lot of thought-provoking commentary, and I can tell you because I did, like I said, go through it today, and I really was impressed. One, by the website, it just kind of invites you in. And so just like your personality, you just invite people in. So we really do appreciate that. I do have one more question before we end this broadcast, and it's one that we asked everyone before we let you go. And that is, can you feel the power? Can you feel the power? Can you feel the power? You got to say, yep, I can feel the power.
I sure can.
You're supposed to sing it, Michael.
Oh, my bad.
No, I'm joking with you. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Well, thank
Can
for
you
having
feel the power? Can you feel the power? Feel the power of Double XI.
Positive Power 21.org Internet Radio.
You're listening to Jerry Royce Live Worldwide Podcast.
All right, Michael LABORN, thank you so much for joining us right here at Positive Power, XI Christian Media. We appreciate all your insight to the Bible, man, and Christianity and how Jesus will bless everyone's soul. So stay connected, everybody. We got some awesome podcasts coming up for the rest of this week. That's right, we got Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays to come on and join. We got some more powerful guests. Go out to my page, Jerry Was Live, to get the live link, or you can dial in at 712-770-4160, code 895-455#. Or you can go out there to YouTube, or you can just Google us and find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and iHeart. All right, thank you, Shay Samuels, for hosting a beautiful show. So powerful. All right, I'm Jerry Was Live Worldwide, a.k.a. the Batman of Charm City. Everybody have a good night. Thank you for tuning in. Peace. Feel the power.
Hey, my name is Davis and I'm from Haiti, but I live in Dominican Republic. I'm here, Positive Power 21, Jerry Was Live Worldwide.